Okay, so after welcome and some thinking wall and some revision, you're going to formally enter sort of the first chapter of day 2, which is going to be a do section. And really what we're doing is we're moving on to the next page of the performance assessment design template. In particular, we're designing the actual task. So far, remind participants, you've come up with your outcome, and you've even sort of made sure that you've got the right assessment type matched to that outcome, in this case, performance assessment. And now we've got to zero in and kind of basically give an assignment. What's the assignment that the students are going to do? How are you inviting them to demonstrate their learning that's going to gather the evidence for this particular performance assessment? So part 2 signals the fact that we're kind of moving into really what's the second part of the 3 parts of a complete performance assessment. This language, again, is reflected on the top of that planning template. So this arrow just signals, oh, here's where we are in the journey of building this performance assessment. You're going to signal to them, once again, that the major tool here is the performance assessment planning template. They've already started working with it. They filled out the outcomes part in a little bit of that last page on the end of day 1. But we're zeroing in on this idea of the prompt. What are the students asked to do? In order to save time, we actually have people just go ahead and write to the students themselves. Go ahead and write the prompt as if you're speaking to the students. Here's what you're asked to do. It saves time because ultimately what you write here can end up being the instructions that you actually pass along to the student himself or herself. This can be tough, but I think showing them an example is really going to be powerful. And remember that the day before, they saw an example of a performance assessment that they looked at when they were comparing it to the scale rubric. So remind them of what that language looked like, depending on whatever performance assessment you thought was best to show them on day 1. And then, boom, you're going to give them the next chunk of time to basically do that. Now, we also want to signal that this is a great opportunity for them to use the scale rubric to signal what makes for good quality prompt. The scale rubric has a whole page that talks about the task and what constitutes a well-written task. So signal to them to look at that while they're building. It continues to make them comfortable with the scale rubric and what it's asking. And so it's another tool to support them. And then set them off into creation mode. And of course, it's a great opportunity for you to circulate the room and be helping people as they struggle through this part of the design process.